I know I'm about to have a bad time, and I am so down for it. Hi, I'm Claudia, and songfics are just so good. Now, when I say songfics, I'm not talking about a fanfic which has a title that is song lyrics, because that is like 90% of fanfiction on AO3. I'm talking about fics that are fully inspired by a song or use a song in some way within the storytelling, if that kind of makes sense. Now, I'm gonna be honest, was I a massive fan of songfics like a few years ago? Not really. And that was mainly because I didn't know the songs, so I was like, I don't understand like what's going on really, or like how it's inspired by it or anything like that, so it just kind of put me off a little bit. But now I have a much broader music taste. I tend to know quite a lot of the songs, or at least I've heard a section of the song on TikTok, which has led to me over like the last kind of year and a half reading a lot more songfics. And I have to say, they're just so good. Now, songfics, as I mentioned a few moments ago, can usually go one of two ways. Either the fic is inspired by a song, like completely, or the fic uses a song in some way. I'm going to talk about that second one first because I have a bit of experience with it. When I say a fic like uses a song for the storytelling, I mean like the song exists within the canon of the fic, if that makes sense. I personally did this with one of my buddy one-shots called You Belong With Me, named after the Taylor Swift song You Belong With Me. And in the fic, all the characters are at a karaoke bar and two of the characters decide to perform You Belong With Me by Taylor Swift. This then leads to the main ship getting together, and yeah, you can kind of imagine how it goes from there. But in that one shot, how I did it was, as soon as they started singing, you have the song lyrics, and then in between like verses, or sometimes in between like lines, you've got like a bit of text explaining like what's going on stage or whatever. And I loved writing that fic. Honestly, it was so much fun. And I know a lot of people write like karaoke fics. Like, this is a very common trope, I feel like, in like any fandom. Like, karaoke is universal. But every time I read one, I find myself enjoying it. Even if it's just like a chapter in a longer fic where they do karaoke, I'm like, yes, get me there. That is so much fun. Have I ever been to karaoke in real life? No. The only time I've ever used a karaoke machine was when I was 10. And I didn't sing into it. I refused because we were in front of like a bunch of family friends that we barely see, and I'm not the best singer in the world. Would I love to go to karaoke with like some close friends who I could just like scream sing and they won't care that like I'm out of tune? Yes, I would love that. Unfortunately, there's like no karaoke near me, which is really sad, honestly. This is what I get for living in a tiny town in the middle of nowhere. But anyway, karaoke is not the only way to kind of incorporate a song as a storytelling device though, because you can also do it if one or more of your characters is in like a band or is a famous singer or something like that. Have like one character showing the other their brand new song that they've just written, and it's actually like in real life it's like a popular song so we all know it, but in universe this character has written that song about the other person. Like, I love those. Fun fact, I have like a half written buddy one shot, like a really long buddy one shot. It probably would have been a multi-chapter fic actually, where Buck secretly writes music and like ends up writing a bunch of songs about Eddie, and then it like comes out over the course of several days. And like, I never finished that because it wasn't going the way I wanted it to, I don't think. Maybe I should go back to that fic. But like, in canon, does Buck sing? No, we've never heard that man sing. We probably will never hear that man sing. So like, you can do anything with that kind of thing. Like, make a character a famous singer, make them secretly good at guitar, like do whatever you want as like a way to shove a song in there as like a storytelling device. Because like, if you've ever listened to a song and been like, oh my god, this is so this character talking to this character, just write it. Like, make one of them a famous singer and suddenly bam, you've got the song in the fic. Even if the song you want to shove in there is like really niche and you think, oh, no one's gonna know this when I post it, if you've got the song lyrics in there and you like tell people in the author's note like, this is this song by this person in real life, they can just go and listen to it and it will all make sense. It also could be like, if you're a massive fan of this singer and you're like, their entire discography is so this character coded, but they're a really small singer, so like no one else knows it, shove one of their songs in a fic, and then other people will read that fic and might listen to that song. And suddenly, before you know it, everyone's considering that singer like the unofficial discography of this one character. Am I reaching a little bit? Probably. I'm getting excited, okay? I really should write another fanfic which has like a song inserted for storytelling purposes. Maybe I'll go back to that one shot I mentioned earlier, or maybe I might just write another one. And there's so many great ways that can work with kind of ships and that kind of thing. Say one of the characters is a famous singer, the other one's in the crowd and they've been like dating but they're broken up, but they're still going to watch them, and then the one on stage is like, I'm gonna debut a new song and it's all about my significant other, and then they're in the crowd but they don't know it, and they hear the song and they're like, oh my god, why are we broken up, we should get back together, whatever. Like full rom-com, see you in a crowd and sing to you kind of moment. That's what I want, okay? Or it could be like these two characters have been like dating, but one of them didn't know that the other one is like a super famous singer, like secretly, and then they end up like not like breaking up, but they're like fighting for a bit, and while they're fighting the character goes, maybe I should listen to like all of their music just to like kind of understand it, and it turns out every single song is about them. Maybe it's because I'm a hopeless romantic, but I do love it when people write songs for each other. I think that's adorable. But that's just one side of the story. As I mentioned earlier, there's like another option for songfics in that a song inspires the entire fic. Now what I mean by this is, and I'm going to use my own fics as an example here. About a week ago, as I'm filming this, I posted a one-shot called I Wish You Could Know Me. Now that title is a line from Willing and Able by Noah Calm. Is the entire fanfic based off Willing and Able? No. But they do share a lot of kind of similarities in what I wanted to do with that fanfic, and I felt the title worked really well. So I used that title for the fic, even though the fic itself is not inspired completely by that song, if that makes sense. If you're wondering, that is a Dear Siblings angsty one-shot, so if you know 911, the title kind of fits. However, today, as I'm filming this, I posted another one-shot. It's called Burn Down the Disco Baby. It's another 911 one-shot, but this is like more heavily buddy, if that makes sense. But the title is a line from a song called Burn Down the Disco, which is by James Marriott. That is also why I'm wearing my James Marriott merch, because I thought, you know, if I'm posting a fic based off his song, I might as well wear the top. As I film this, the song is actually unreleased, but the TikTok sound, which includes the chorus, was dropped a couple of days ago, which is what kind of inspired the fanfic. But that one-shot is entirely inspired by that song, which is what I call more of a songfic. I haven't tagged it as a songfic because the song isn't out yet, so I don't know if it fits with like the rest of the song, but that is the closest thing I have to like a proper fic. It's completely inspired by a song currently up on my profile, which, side note, go listen to Burn Down the Disco by James Marriott. It sounds like it's going to be a banger. I'm already in love with it, and I've only heard the chorus. So that's what I mean when I say a fic inspired completely by a song. And there's so many opportunities for this, so many opportunities for angst. You can just go through every single line and be like, I'm putting that into the fic, I'm putting that into the fic, I'm putting that into the fic. Or it can just be kind of more like a general vibe type thing where you're like, I was listening to this song on loop while I wrote this fic, and therefore it's kind of inspired by it, if that makes sense. But I love them because usually they're quite angsty, and I like a little bit of angst. And sometimes it is like one line in this one song has inspired this entire fic, which is true of one of my other fics actually, but like that's like a whole separate scenario because that's like a very long fic, and that one line actually only inspired like one chapter. Anyway, getting inspiration from that kind of place, it's usually so good because it's usually to do with like a metaphor, and you can really play on that, and I love it so much. Especially like if I see it's a songfic and the song is by like Taylor Swift or Phoebe Bridgers or Gracie Abrams, like I know I'm about to have a bad time, and I am so down for it. I have several other fanfic ideas which are based off of songs or certain lines from songs. For example, I really want to do a buddy fic based off Carlights by James Marriott because I feel like it would just be so good. But I haven't written it yet because I think that's because I want to like really do it justice. Like I need to dedicate like a week of my life to that fic. I will write it eventually though. I also had like this idea a while ago. I don't know if I'll ever write this, so feel free to like steal this if you want to, if you're a 911 fan and you write fanfiction. Like this was like a year ago. I was listening to Better Than Revenge by Taylor Swift, and I had this idea where I was like, what if Eddie and Maddie team up to prove to Buck that Tommy is a bad boyfriend? I just think that would be very funny, and I would enjoy it. Feel free to steal that because I've had that idea for like over a year and I haven't written it yet, which probably means it's never going to be written. But also another example of a fic I wrote actually that's based off like one line in a song rather than like a whole song like Burn Down the Disco Baby is another one shot I wrote called Seeing You Tonight, It's a Bad Idea, Right? That line's from Bad Idea, Right by Olivia Rodrigo, and that fic, I like was listening to that song and I heard that line and I was like, something just clicked, and I was like, hold on, I can make a one shot out of that. If you're wondering, that is a buddy one shot where while Eddie's in Texas, Tommy texts Buck and is asking him out on a date, and Buck calls Eddie to be like, tell me not to do this. That's like an example of a fanfic which is completely inspired by one line in a song, whereas like other one shots I've written, they have song lyrics for titles but they are not inspired by that song. I just felt the title kind of fit the fic after I'd already written it, if that makes sense. But songs are just so good at inspiring fanfics. Like there have been so many times where I've just been like listening to songs, usually while writing fanfiction or reading fanfiction, and then I'll hear a line and get an idea, and suddenly I'm making a new doc with one line on it, which is like my idea for when I finally come back to it in like 3 years or whatever. So if you've like ever been listening to a song and thought, oh, that would be like a really good fanfic idea, just write it. Like, base it off the song in its entirety, base it off one line. Like, I have read fics where the entire fic is like paragraph by paragraph goes through each line of the song, and you might think like, oh, that's maybe like not the best kind of thing because you already know what's coming, but no, I love that. Like, interpreting metaphors in different ways, it's so good. And the best part is, if it's like a songfic and the author's like tagged it as a songfic or says in the notes like, this is the song, you can then listen to that song while you read the fanfic and really get the vibe that the author was trying to give. And also, I've said this in another video, but if it's like your first time ever writing a fanfic and you're not sure where to start for like inspiration, look to music. Whatever music you listen to, there's going to be something that you can relate to whatever ship you want to write for. And then just write a fanfic based off one line of the song or the entire song, because then you've got inspiration kind of already built in and you have like something to build off of. You're not like plucking an idea out of thin air, you've got some foundation, which can sometimes like make it feel a little bit easier to just start. Because I swear, sometimes the hardest thing about writing a fanfic is starting it. At least for me, like, I get so in my head about it not going the way I want it to, that actually just starting the first sentence is the hardest thing. So if you've got like a foundation, you know kind of where you're going, that can make like writing the first sentence just a little bit less daunting, which can then let you just keep going. I promise, if it's like your first time writing a fanfic and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, once you've got like the first few paragraphs down, I swear it will just like start coming to you, kind of like you will just keep going and going and going, and you're like, oh, why was I ever scared? Like, suddenly I've written 1,000 words. And even like myself, I've written quite a few fanfics at this point, and still starting one is terrifying. But like, don't worry, because even if like you finish the fanfic and you hate it, you can change it. Like, there's nothing stopping you from changing it before you post it. So like, don't panic about it too much, and use music to inspire you, because I just love songfics, so having more of them out there is only ever going to be a good thing. And now we've got to the end of the video, I have to do the awkward thing and ask you, if you liked the video, maybe leave a like on it, or potentially even subscribe. I post a bunch of videos all about fanfiction and TV shows and all that kind of stuff, so if you like that kind of thing, you might enjoy what I do here. There'll also be links in the description to, firstly, my AO3 profile if you want to read any of the fanfics that I've mentioned in this video, but also to my Twitter account where I mostly yap about 911, and there'll be a link to my TikTok account where I post new fanfiction related TikToks literally every single day, so if that's something you like, you might want to follow me over there. I also do post those TikToks on here to YouTube Shorts, but like, if you want to see on another app, it's also there. And then before I go, I just want to say a massive thank you for 600 subscribers. I know to most people that's like a teeny tiny number, but to me that's a really big deal, so thank you so much to everyone who's subscribed. Also, if you didn't see over my community tab, which is where I post like updates about videos in case you're wondering, there are currently builders in my house most of the time. Basically, my parents are getting the kitchen completely redone. So for the next month or so, videos might be a little bit sporadic. Obviously, I can't really film while the builders are here and they're like hammering and sawing and drilling and everything. So I will record as often as I physically can, and I will get the videos out as quickly as I can. But my usual kind of every other Friday schedule might have to take a little bit of a break till probably like mid to end of September, unfortunately. If you do want more content from me, obviously there's my Twitter account and my TikTok account where you can hear from me basically every day. I'll still be posting my TikToks here on YouTube Shorts literally every single day, so you've still got something at least. So yeah, I've been Claudia, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll hopefully see you all soon. Bye!